You know, the great thing is I love songwriting, and I get paid spiritually every time I sit down and come up with one great line. I go, wow, and I get that little thrill, you know, because I know it's a great line. I get paid anyway. I'd like more money, but I haven't been married 3 times and had some bad habits. I could use some more money all the time.
All right, ladies and gents, gather round, gather round. We got value going once, truth going twice. Sold for a song. That's right, folks. Rights signed away, data given away, pennies on the play. Publishing, gone. Credit, missing. Ownership, kiss it goodbye. 50 pages of catch-22s, no dice. You can't eat a like, a follow, or a view. Sold for a song. But wait now, hold your bids, hold your breath. Here comes the truth louder than the bass line. Time to take it back, where the artists rise, the system shakes, and the silence finally breaks.
Welcome to Sold for a Song, the transformative podcast that dissects the music industry's long-standing practice of undervaluing its most essential contributors. Yes, we're talking songwriters and artists. In each episode, we'll delve into the journey of recognizing and elevating the true worth and value of music creators, discover how the industry has exploited creators, and learn actionable strategies to revolutionize this trend and take control of your career. Hello, podcast land. I'm Terrance Sawchuk, but you can call me Terry. After 30 plus years in the trenches of the music industry, trust me, I've seen it all. The highs, the heartbreaks, and the resilience it takes to succeed as a creator. Here's what I've learned. Awakening your self-worth, owning and leveraging your value, and streamlining the process to free up the time we need to do what we most love to do, which is create. That's what stands between you and the freedom we're all chasing. All right, before we dive in, if you believe in empowering artists and redefining what it means to thrive creatively, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a quick review, and share this episode with someone who truly needs it. That one click helps more than you know. And if you want to go deeper, join me at terrancesawchuk.com to be a part of the community and follow all of my endeavors for exclusive content and updates. My guest today is a true legend and the greatest songwriting mentor I've ever had. An American Songwriters Hall of Fame member whose songs have been recorded by the Hollies, Don Williams, Crystal Gayle, George Strait, and John Denver, just to name a few. Roger's the only British citizen to ever be inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, and his catalog is absolutely staggering. He wrote classics like Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing, and Talking in Your Sleep, along with countless country hits that have stood the test of time. Roger's songs have sold in the hundreds of millions, shaping pop, country, and rock for over 5 decades. Today we're going to talk about what it takes to write music that outlasts trends and the wisdom he's gathered from a lifetime of storytelling through song. I can't think of a better, not just songwriter, but person to speak on this topic. I mean, very few people have done what you've done. You're now, 65 Canadian? Is that your age now?
Is that where? Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
I'll be 85 this coming month.
Come on.
Yeah, shit.
Congratulations,
But
85.
hey, I'm healthy, you know.
Jeez. That's incredible. I had the pleasure of listening to a bunch of other podcasts that you've been on, and I was so impressed in how they went into such detail chronologically about your whole career. And I kind of want to save that for those podcasts for people to go back. It did such an incredible job of just dissecting everything that is you. And it's unbelievable for somebody who, you know, I've known you since I came to Nashville. So we're talking 18 years. I thought I knew a lot about you. I didn't know you sang backups on Tiny Dancer and all the early Elton John and Madman Across the Water. Like every time I dig a little deeper, I find something else that just blows me away. But just things that you had something to do with songs that really affected me, and I had no idea that you had a part of it. But I'd like to touch on some of that today and have you start, you know, from the beginning and just kind of tell us about your journey, but taking into account the direction that we're going here. We're trying to take somebody like yourself to say, wow, you got 85 years, and probably most of those are in the business. I would say at least 65 or 70 of those are in the music business somehow. I mean, you sang in the church and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, that was the late 40s, early 50s. I was a choir boy, you know, in the Church of England. And that's where I learned the sense of harmony in a great way. and some lovely melodic songs that came out of that, the church thing, you know. I guess I always had that love for that. And from there, it was a natural leap for me to, as I got older, first of all, I was in my brother's harmonica band.
Oh, really? I never heard that.
When I was 15, yeah. That was the first time I got up in front of people, apart from some talent contests I did when I was a kid. First time I got up as a performer, you know, and that lasted about a year, as most harmonica bands do. And then I got invited, somebody knew that I sang, somebody I went to church with, his name was Grantley Hayward, and he said, we've got a little group together, a little vocal harmony group. He said, we need someone else. Would you like to come along and see if everybody likes you? So I went along and met these guys and a girl, and they liked what I was contributing, you know. So they invited me to join, and that was my very first group. We were, at that time, we were called the Harmonettes. Can you believe that?
How fitting.
We changed our name to the Sapphires in the end, and started getting quite a reputation around Bristol, you know, Bristol, England. We ended up winning a talent contest, a TV talent contest, and decided we were good enough to go on the road, which we did in 1959. We took to the road and started doing worker men's clubs and everything. And it was a bit of a struggle. That's the truth of it. And after 2 years, two of the guys said, nah, I'm going to get a real job. Well, I was really hung up on singing. And I'd already written 2 songs for this group, which they were performing, you know. So I was getting pleasure that way, too. Anyway, the group came to an end, and me and the girl singer got together, and we called ourselves John and Julie. And we won another TV contest. And a guy there, what was his name now? He was a big producer anyway, heard us and said, I'll cut that record with you. Because there's 2 songs I've written on TV. And Norman, no, not Norman Newell. Anyway, the guy produced Helen Shapiro and Cliff Richard.
Oh, okay.
And he was a big producer at the time. Anyway, he produced a record on us. That was 1962. My very first record I ever had out. And I was hooked. I thought, whatever else I'm doing, I'm going to stay in show business. I'm going to be a writer, do whatever. And I started writing a lot. And eventually, Roger Greenaway, my partner, he was in a group called the Kestrels. And they were opening for people like the Beatles and that. They were really, they were working hard. And he called me one day. Well, actually, he called a friend of mine who called me and said, would Roger like to join the Kestrels? Because there was a guy dropping out. Well, I jumped at it. Well, I was going to be singing harmony, you know, on stage live and making an actual kind of living. Not much, but enough. So I joined them, and it was on our very first tour, opening for a guy called Billy Fury and the Mindbenders and somebody else anyway. Roger said, do you want to write a song? I said, yeah, sure. Yeah. He knew that I wrote songs. So we sit down. In the space of an hour, we wrote You Got Your Troubles, I Got Mine.
Oh, God.
Our very first song together. And we went and demoed the song, you know, in London. He took me along to see his publisher, Mills Music, and they signed me. So suddenly, wow, I was demoing songs, you know, and signed to a real company. George Martin heard the demo of You Got Your Troubles, and he called us into his office in Manchester Square and said, I really like the way you boys sing, and I really like the song a lot. I'd like to produce it with you. Well, okay, George.
George, yeah.
This is the hottest man in the world as a producer.
His name rings a bell.
And there was one drawback. We were going to have to wait about 3 months. He was finishing an album called Rubber Soul.
It'll never
with
go
the
anywhere.
boys. I mean, and there's a longer story to that. But anyway, during that 3 months, a group called the Fortunes got hold of the song and took it way up the charts all over the world.
Now, this is a question I've been wanting to ask you. When you say they got a hold of it, literally, what does that mean? How did they get the song, and what stopped you from putting it out as an artist?
Well, Roger and I, as artists, weren't artists at the time in the sense that nobody was signing us to a record deal or anything. And so the publisher kept plugging the song. The plugger would go out and play it to whoever. And in the end, a group called The Fortunes got a hold of it. They recorded it very quickly and got it out long before we could even think about it. And they had the huge hit around the world. I mean, everywhere it went, it was a hit. And there was mixed feelings on my... One good thing about it was I was thinking, well, what kind of car do I want to drive now? What kind of house do I want to live in? I mean, there was so much money coming in, you know, all of a sudden.
Absolutely. Well, this is interesting because where this falls in line with the theme of this podcast, Sold for a Song, is now you've got this publisher who's pitching this song because they're trying to make money for everybody, and I get it. But they're holding on to one thing that sort of trumps you, which is the copyright or the license to pitch it. So you probably don't even have the legal right to say, no, I don't want them to cut it. I want George Martin to produce it, and I want to become the artist. Was that kind of the case?
Yeah, that was it. And George apologized. He said, I'm sorry you had to wait. I know we lost our chance. He said, but there is a song, he said, on the album I've just done with the boys. It's called Michel, Ma Belle. He said, if you work up a deal on it, he said, I'll take in the studio and cut that. He said, I think it could be a hit. And sure enough, we ended up with a hit record. We had the top 10 in America, and it was like...
As artists.
As artists.
So, and that's awesome. But it's an interesting thing to mark in your kind of journey to say, you know, on the topic of publishers needing to own the copyright, which really they're investors who are just getting involved. They're fronting some money, they're collecting your royalties, they're fronting some money to record demos, that kind of thing. No different than a bank in a way as an investor. My sort of argument is always, do they really have to own the copyright and the intellectual property in perpetuity? It's a bit of a weird topic. You know,
well, in those days, it was 70 years after the composer's death.
Yeah.
Which means it ruled out anything coming my way, you know.
Right.
And another thing, Mills Music in America, they had a big hit in America with it. They kept 50% of everything that came in and sent 50% to England. Roger and I took half royalties from America. And we only redressed that in the early 70s. Roger complained about it, Roger Greenaway, more of a businessman than me. He said, we deserve a bigger cut than that, you know. Because Mills Music was ending up with 3/4 of the income from the song.
Were they were the publisher?
Yeah.
So Mills Music, so if, say the song, let's just use, you know, modern day prices, let's say, or numbers rather, let's say it made $1 million in America at that time. They immediately just lopped off $500,000 and put it in their bank and then sent you guys...
And sent us 50%, of which we got 25%, Roger and I. So anyway, it was a real rip-off.
Yeah.
But it was common practice in those days.
So what I'm trying to do now is start the conversation, and people, legends like yourself that have the kind of credibility to talk on this, is let's start a new norm. What if that was the norm, but then there's a different norm now? And we have the opportunity to educate people, to show them, you know, how a song really is split, how you're paid. So, you know, when I say things like, well, in the United States, they don't really pay for live performance. And I can show you with my royalty sheets, like if Jake Owen, who cut my song Barefoot Blue Jean Night, if he opens up for Tim McGraw and all the biggest stadiums in America for a year straight, I probably won't see $1.
You don't get a piece of
If he does one show in Ontario or in Toronto, Canada, I'll get a check for $75. And I had ASCAP and Cobalt, my publisher, do a deep dive for 3 months trying to track down royalties. This is the most performed country song of the decade. And they came back with, we didn't find anything. I said, if I'm not making money, and I own my entire third and my copyright as well. I said, if I'm not making money, nobody's making money. And then one of our best late friends, Mr. Ralph Murphy, which is how we met, said to me, he goes, Terry, nobody's ever turned in any live performance forms for Garth Brooks in history to ASCAP. So any songwriter that's ever written a Garth Brooks song, we've never even received a form to be able to pay for them.
That's disgusting.
So just think of the money, the millions of dollars that should have gone to, where to go. Same thing with movie theaters. The composers and songwriters don't get paid for their, the score composers and songwriters don't get paid for their songs to be played in a movie theater in America, but every other country pays it. So is it right? Is it wrong? Is it good? Is it bad? I just want people to have the burden of truth and fact and know this is what's going on. So if you're ever going to try and help change things or be a part of any kind of change in the future, we just want you to have all the information so you know what's going on. And when you write a song and you have a number one hit and you're wondering why you're still driving a moped after you've written the number one hit and been paid.
A nice moped.
Yeah, it's a hell of a moped. But if you're wondering why you're not making any money, it's you can go back to that contract you signed and it's going to tell you in black and white and as I say in the theme song, there's going to be 50 pages of catch-22s that kind of set up for you to not really recoup. You mentioned a few things that to me personally in the past, like with you and Roger Greenaway, where much like Lennon and McCartney, if you guys kind of wrote something or not, you just kind of went 50-50 on it, right? And that also became kind of a weird point of contention for you after a while.
Well, I wasn't too worried about the money situation. There was enough money involved anyway, and if he had a hit, I earned, a bunch of it. In the end, it was more of an artistic thing. My name was going on songs that I didn't particularly feel comfortable about. And I never had one single word or a note in it,
So he would just write something and give you credit for it just because of the brand of Roger and
same
Roger?
with me, yeah.
Really?
It did become a brand, to cook Greenaway, and it was like, shoot. It was very big in England, obviously. But it wasn't a monetary thing at all. It was all about my name being on something that I had nothing to do with. I couldn't change a word of it. And, in the end, I just wasn't happy with that. So we split.
How many people would make a decision based on that kind of integrity nowadays? Now you've got 9 or 15 writers on a song, and somebody, I won't mention any names, and this will happen a lot in this show, but I know somebody who wrote a complete song, wrote it all, produced the demo, wrote a Spanish lyric to it even. He kind of Googled what the Spanish words would be. So this song ends up getting cut by 3 featured artists on the song, 3 of the biggest artists in the world. And he wrote the entire thing, produced it. He had a guitar player play a little guitar part and some shaker on it. And then his producer / manager, cohort guy that was kind of bringing him up through the business, pitched the song for him. By the time he got his split from the 3 artists, wanted not just publishing, they wanted writer share to sing it. The shaker guitar player guy, he got writing credit. The guy for pitching it, long story short, he wrote this entire thing, produced the entire demo. He got 5% of the song.
That's very old-fashioned.
Why do you say that's old-fashioned?
It kind of happened to me. My very first recorded thing was a melody called Parisian. And I took it into this guy who was kind of semi-managing me at the time. He said, I'm going up to London. He said, I'll see if I can get somebody to cut it. There was an orchestra called the Frank Chatsfield Orchestra. They cut it. And they asked me to sign a piece of paper, which I did. Not really thinking I'm 19, They took a third each and gave me a third of my song. And that was the first time I kind of tumbled to it, after a while. And I didn't complain because I was so proud about having a piece of music played on the radio,
So that's the thing. I've seen people sort of prey on that fact, that they use that my God, you're fortunate that I'm going to give you a songwriting career. Wait a second. If I can still go write songs or play in a pub and I can still go get paid, if I don't write a song and deliver it to you, how do you pay the bills? You don't pay the bills until I write a song or until somebody writes a song. But we have this almost like muscle memory of, oh, well, gosh, okay, I'm just, humble songwriter. I'm just glad to get paid and making some money. And that's bullshit. And they're the only ones that people like you just mentioned that saw the true value of music. Fast forward to now, you see Wall Street and investors coming out of the woodworks. Have you sold any of your catalog through this shopping spree that's been going on the last 10 years? Neither have I. And you know why I haven't? One of the big reasons is because of you. You told me years ago, you said of all the songs that you sold, they all went on to make like 4 times more than what I got for them. And I kept that in the back of my brain. And then I had the pleasure of working with some very kind of successful, wealthy people in the development world of like housing. And one guy was a self-made billionaire, and the other guy was kind of worth hundreds of millions. And they taught me a lot about money in a short time. And I learned that people like that don't invest in anything unless, first of all, it's extremely undervalued. They need to see the gap that everybody's missing. So I have no problem giving you $100 million for this subdivision or your song catalog, but I need a 75% return in the first 12 months. So I won't touch an investment. It's not that black and white, just an example, but they won't touch something unless they know it's extremely undervalued. On top of that, you got people who are traditionally broke. They'll just sell their guitar or do whatever, pay the rent. Yeah, I'll take that money. I need to get a truck.
Yeah.
And they know this. It's also an asset class called an uncorrelated asset, which means it's an asset that's not really going to be affected too much by the economy. So Wall Street likes that. Okay, here's an asset that's sort of an untouchable thing. But why recently? The songs have been around forever. Wall Street's been around forever. Why are they jumping in now? And I realized when the labels got involved to put so much more, 10 times more value into the master and not the songwriting and the publishing, that's when the game changed. And they knew there was a lot of value coming down the road, billions of streamers as opposed to, a few hundred million now. So they know if we buy this stuff now, it's going to be worth a fortune, 10x, 100x.
The business has changed now. It's changed forever, I think.
I agree. And I think there's a really interesting opportunity to, like I said earlier, where we can kind of reverse engineer how the songwriter and the artist think to take advantage of this kind of changing of the guards that's going on right now. So one of the things that I sort of promote is not so much your own website, but it's like a portal, I'll call it. It's like Roger's home base. Yes, it's a website, but it's not just, here's his tour dates, here's his bio on his career, and here's a link to his music and some music videos, and here's a contact thing if you want to email. That's 99% of any artist's website. What I'm talking about now is, why should everybody else be leveraging us? Why don't we use social media, Facebook, Spotify, everybody else, just like a billboard as an advertisement, but to come and play over at my house and come to this portal where now I can kind of treat you like we're at home. And I've seen artists doing the wildest things. I went to South by Southwest a couple of years ago, or last year rather, and one guy was doing things like where a weekly movie night. So he'd turn on Zoom with 50 of his closest fans, and they'd all sit and watch a movie on Netflix together and eating popcorn and talking about the movie. I'm like, the game has changed.
Oh, yeah.
And the people are now looking for 50 fans or 20 or 10 or 100 fans. And if they can get 100 fans in the whole world to pay them $1,000 a year, buy their record, buy their cassette, they buy these things, they don't even have a record player, right? So you can make... There's $100,000 right there. 100 people giving you $1,000. Ralph Murphy told me, the average songwriter makes at ASCAP $22,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's what a professional songwriter signed to ASCAP, the average one makes.
It's going to get worse, too. I know it is. The great thing is I love songwriting. And I get paid spiritually every time I sit down and come up with one great line. I go, wow, and I get that little thrill, because I know it's a great line. I get paid anyway. I'd like more money, but I haven't been married 3 times and had some bad habits. I could use some more money all the time. But I get paid. I get paid in my soul as a writer.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I don't know anybody that says that. I mean, we all, of course, that's why we do it and we love it, but I haven't heard a verse like that. I don't know anybody that loves songwriting more than you do. You make me feel lazy. You make me feel like I make myself feel all these things, obviously, but I'm saying, just kidding. The fact that I can call you at like, say, late January of any year, and you've already written 20 songs, and most people are just coming back in to work from the holidays. Like, you're not kidding. You write every day.
I write
weekday at least
2-3 times a week. I write and work on the song. Yeah.
And you're 85 years old.
Yeah, and I'm going to. I'll probably drop dead in the middle of a great line.
Yeah.
I hope it's a great line.
Yeah.
I go, yes, no.
That's incredible. Like, I honestly don't know anybody that loves songwriting that much. And, that's, I guess, what keeps you alive through this business and all the years is the fact that, oh, well, at least I love what I do, because there's so many challenges,
Yeah.
that you go through. All right. For a second, I want to go back to how we first met. And I rolled into town, and I was, I've already been in the business maybe 18 years out of Toronto. And I was coming to the States the first time to, coming to the big leagues, or call it what you will. I was working with the Matt Dusk, I call him the other crooner, along with Michael Bublé from Canada. And I was looking for songs, and we were going to be cutting the album at Capitol Studios in LA with the great Al Schmidt and Patrick Williams and Sammy Nestico and Vinnie Colaiuta, and basically Sinatra's, all the greatest musicians in history, 56-piece orchestra, all that. So when I came looking for songs, it wasn't a typical producer rolling through town looking for songs, because it was kind of a country town, and so Ralph Murphy at ASCAP was such a huge help. And so when I was asking for names and songs, it was sort of a complete different meeting than he was probably used to dealing with. So he immediately thought of people who could speak all of these languages like yourself, and he said, here's what I'm going to do. I can't make it to golf, whatever it was, Tuesday with my chums, but if you'd like to take my spot, I'm going to connect you with a few.
I remember the meeting.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So it was you and Peter Sullivan. I had no idea what I was walking into, and it was another gentleman, was some Australian singer. He was a big pop star back in the day, in the 60s, from Australia. Do you remember his name?
Not Frank Highfield.
I can't remember his name, but apparently you guys had said he was quite the big deal in Australia back in the 60s, and he was a good mate of yours. But it was you, Peter Sullivan. So I know nothing, but worse than this, the night before, my buddies here thought it was a good idea to they had a bench press in their basement, and they wanted to, and I was never doing stuff like that then, like bench pressing weights and that kind of thing. So, the macho guys get, let's see how much you can bench press in this kind of, so we started trying to bench press. Well, I woke up the next morning, and I had 2 pieces of rubber hanging from my shoulders. Like, I could not move. And here I was about to go out to the golf course, and I'm rarely playing much anyway. And I said, oh my God, I'm so nervous to go out and just meet these guys. I have no idea what I'm walking into. And my arms are hanging off my body. So there's yourself, legend, Hall of Famer, and Peter Sullivan, who basically, discovered Engelbert Humperdinck and Tom Jones and produced every record, and this idiot rolling in with the rubber arms. That was the first time we met. I don't know if you remember it like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember very well. And I think I even remember the golf course. It was Ted Rhodes out in the North Nashville.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember very well.
Oh, my God.
We used to play there every Sunday morning.
Is that what it was? Yeah, I know. Well, you still have a kind of a regular thing going.
Twice a week I play.
Twice a week?
Yeah, with Alan Reynolds and Garth Fundis.
Garth Fundis, yeah, of course.
And Mark Miller. Yeah, we have a foursome.
And we went out another time. It was me, you. The fourth was he was a session drummer from England. And he played in the band that
Tony Newman,
who opened for the Beatles on the American tour.
Yeah, Sounds Incorporated, yes.
And he and I were in the same golf cart. So he's telling me all about the tour, and I said, and I'm asking questions that you don't normally get to ask somebody. I'm like, what gear did you use? Did you switch over? He goes, oh no, we just shared Ringo's Ludwig kit. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, "Oh yeah, nobody could hear anything. They were just screaming. The PA wasn't loud enough.
Yeah.
Because of the fans." And after a few holes, I realized you co-owned Air Studios with George Martin at one point. Did you not?
Yes.
And
Roger and I were shareholders in the studio with George. Yeah.
And
Peter.
Oh, and Peter as well.
Peter as well in those days.
And he was going to produce you and did produce you. And then Tony, was he not George Harrison's best man at his wedding? Or was that?
If he was, he never told me.
Okay, then it wasn't Peter that was in the foursome that day. It was this other gentleman that was an artist, I think. And he was George Harrison's best man at his wedding. Do you remember who that was?
Not Joe Brown.
I can't remember the name. But anyway, we got a few holes in. I said, so let me get this straight. I'm the one in the foursome that doesn't know all four Beatles. And you guys said, yeah, pretty much. I said, okay. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do without golf. It gets me out there. I haven't walked this summer. It's just too hot for me. I've got English flesh and bones, I can't stand that. Once you get us in the 90s, I'm not going to walk. So I've been riding the cart now for about a month. And quite honestly, I'm starting to lose my legs a little bit. I need to get out walking again. But
you've been walking all this time, you're saying? You just started taking a cart?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Oh my God, do I feel extra lazy now? He writes songs 2 or 3 days a week and walks the golf course in the southern
I think
humidity.
somehow they help each other.
Whatever makes it work. Oh my God. So I wanted to touch on a bit more of when we first met. I think we had one cut of the songs we wrote together. I think we had one cut with a song called "Love Don't Let Me Go." Do you remember that? We wrote this song, and then an opportunity came up where it got pitched for. It was that ASPCA, the dog. That's so sad. Dog commercial with Sarah McLachlan's song that was on it for years.
I do kind of remember
and
that.
They wanted to pitch that. So we needed somebody to sing the demo. And I don't know how I talked Hillary Lindsey into this or bribed her. Or I might have just gone to the ATM and got a fistful of cash. I don't remember. But she hadn't sung a demo, nor should she have, in probably a decade. They just put her in the Songwriting Hall of Fame, and she was barely, in her 40s. I don't think there's ever been, she's got to be a top 5, one of the best songwriters that have ever walked through this town.
Absolutely.
And just a dream of a voice. I can't believe she's never done her own solo record. I offered to record it for free, anything, just to get it. She still has not put out a record. I don't like the sound of my voice. I'm like, when I hit my head against the wall. Anyway, I managed to trap her to sing that demo. And this was at Gordie Sampson's studio, Gordie.
Yeah.
And he writes with her all the time. Of course, he's had numerous number ones and great hits with her. And I just kind of turned around and looked at him. I said, is this what you get to work with every time she's over? I said, oh my God, what a dream. But anyway, that ended up getting picked up by Matt Dusk, the crooner in Canada, and he ended up cutting that song. I don't even know if you knew that years ago. And
I didn't know, but I do remember the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember very well, yes.
And when we first started writing together, I was so new. Ralph connected us, and they called it co-writing sessions. It was not a co-writing session. I was going to school. I was sitting in with the legend and thought, here I had a career. I had a whole career in Canada for 18 years. It doesn't matter. Nashville, and you found the same thing when you moved from England. They don't care. You have to come back and learn the craft, learn country music, writing, the culture, everything. I knew nothing. And we were writing something, and I had some convoluted way of trying to say whatever the hell it was I was trying to say. And I call it the Roger face. You kind of do that, twist your head. And you said, you let me go 2 or 3 times on it, and then you had enough, and you just kind of said, boy, that's just lazy songwriting. And I never forgot that. And I thought, I gotcha. Point taken.
Well, when I came here, I thought I'd just come off a string of hits, in England.
Right.
Maybe 4 dozen hits or something. It was just ridiculous. I came here and I thought, I was cocky. I thought, I'm going to take over here, 3 chords and the truth, I could do that. Well, after 2 years and not getting one cut, I thought, this ain't going to be that easy. And a good friend, Bobby Wood, said, "You're a great songwriter." He said, "But you're writing, it's too Englishy what you're writing, too poppy." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I started to pay attention. And he and I wrote a song called "Talking in Your Sleep," which became a huge hit. And it really was a pop song, but I left all the English bits out.
Right.
And Crystal Gale cut it,
That was a beautiful song.
Anyway, well, there you go. So there is a learning process. You can't walk into Nashville and just sit down and write a song and think you're going to get it cut. You have to pay attention to the ears of the listener,
Oh, of course. And there's so much to learn. I mean, it's a culture. You're coming to, Ralph Murphy used to say, we're kind of writing music for 13 states. It was a culture that you were writing
down
to
south.
And for. And, here, I'm the Canadian, I'm from hockey country in Northern Ontario, and you're from England. What the heck do we know about country? Well, I grew up with French folk songs and country music with my uncles and my mom and everybody playing songs till 4 a.m. up at the cottage and falling asleep against my uncle's leg while he played harmonica and guitar till 4 a.m. So I might as well. I grew up with country music. It was up in Canada where I was hearing it, and all kinds of other great folk songs and pop songs and French folk music and that kind of thing. But, you get here and it's clean slate. They don't care who you are, what you've done. You're in our town now, and you have to kind of earn your keep again. And so many little things I remember you saying, we would be writing and you'd say something like, we're saying this line like this. If we change, right now, 3 people can cut this song. But if we change this word and that line, 33 people can cut this song. And I never forgot that either.
Widen the audience, yeah. Actually, here, the lyrics are very important. And if you listen to country music now, which I don't do too much, I think they're making great records of ordinary songs now. And,
I agree. That's well said. I really agree. In fact, even from a mixing standpoint, traditionally, and I remember I would sit down with John McBride and we'd talk about this in the studio at Blackbird Studios. I used to use his studio for years, and he would say, the lyrics are so important, we actually carve 1K out of the snare drum. We take 1,000 hertz and take EQ, and we actually carve it and dip it.
So that
to make room
the
for
one word comes through, yeah,
to make word for the room. Now it's like a pop production. You have so much compression, so many unnatural harmonics coming at you, and the listener doesn't know why it sounds weird, but it sounds harsh, and it sounds like everything's kind of yelling at each other in the mix because it's gone a little bit more pop and not lyric oriented.
That's got a lot to do. A lot of blame goes towards the computer these days. I mean, musicians, I don't think 50% of the musicians working now were like they used to be years ago. There'd be hundreds of great musicians.
Yeah.
It's getting smaller and smaller, that crowd, because people are sitting at home and programming the drums and the bass and everything, and just, I'm sorry,
Well, I'm guilty of that. It's and now with AI, it's even worse or different or better, depends how you look at it.
Unbelievably good voices. AI's been doing that to me, actually. I think, oh God, is it really going to go that way? That's why the soul thing is important, I think. It's just
what I love, and I'm staring at it right now, is your ukulele, the instrument you've written probably minimum of 75% of your songs on is a little ukulele, which I can't even wrestle a chord out of it with my big dumb fingers. I love the fact that that's what you bring to every session. It's the song, it's the
that's
lyric,
what I ride on.
Lyric and melody.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what the instrument sounds like. Although that's a really good one. That's a guild. That's one that John Prine gave me on my 60th birthday.
Oh, come on. John Prine. Oh, that one. I remember you telling me about this one.
John gave me
Prine
that.
Gave you that. Oh, my God. John, what a wonderful soul he was. We lost him far too young as well.
Oh, breaks my heart thinking about it even now. We have wonderful times together. There you go.
I mean, you talk about an era of where there was so much integrity that has definitely gotten lost, and not just recently. It's been happening for a while. Maybe it's partially with computers and different reasons, but just society, things change. I mean, the Beatles, the British invasion. I mean, you're just coming out the back end of a world war, and a lot of change. Aside from COVID, we haven't really seen anything massive or a massive change in society, like the baby boom and, the Beatles. Like the baby boom was 66% in North America and they all liked one band. I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen again.
No, that number 1, number 2, and number 3 in the charts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Tiger Woods of music.
Lord, it was. And they opened the world for English music, British music, I should say. And I thank the Beatles for that. That's the reason our, Rogers and Mine songs got played here, because of the Beatles, really, in a way. I mean, it became very important that you were English and having hit records,
Isn't that interesting? I always say, like, America invents the music, and then England makes it famous.
Well, the Beatles were just trying to sound like Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Roy Orbison and everybody. And the Everly Brothers, of course. And they were just trying to sound like them in their own way with those funny accents from Liverpool. And I mean, God, amazing how they... I heard the very first Beatles record was Love Me Do that I heard on the radio.
Yeah.
And I really thought something's just changed. Something's changed musically. There would be nothing like that ever. There was Cliff Richard, which is a very soft rock thing. And then along come the Beatles, love me do. And it was just like, wow, something's changed forever. And it had. I mean, they followed that with Please, Please Me. I Want to Hold Your Hand, all those, But that wasn't enough for them. They were very creative people. I mean, McCartney's a wonderful writer. And so was Lennon. But the world loved them so much they indulged themselves. I mean, they got into smoking dope and everything. Yeah. And that led to more interesting songs in lots of ways.
You say it like it's a bad thing, first of all. But.
Yeah. And they turned on to Dylan and everything, so...
Roger, I would love when you say, oh, yeah, the money I've spent on alcohol and over the years and the money, then there's the cocaine and then the rest I just pissed away.
The rest I just wasted. Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
What about the, today we live in an era where you kind of go on TV and audition on America's Got Talent and you become famous that day, we'll say, and not everybody obviously makes it, but now that's a TV rating. That's not a music industry show. That's about TV ratings and advertising.
Absolutely.
And, but obviously some people...
It's very watchable.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just Ed Sullivan in a different way. But, maybe talk about your perspective on the difference of, like, I see a lot of entitlement in the young artists today. Like, why am I not, you're producing a young kid as well. Why am I not famous in 6 months? Talk about the work ethic that these people had back then and what they had to go through to so-called make it.
Well, yeah, the Beatles, they worked for years in Germany, Hamburg, places like that, singing like 3 or 4 different shows a day and just wearing their voices out, actually gaining strength in their voices. But they put that in, and I did it myself with bands, went out there and worked the clubs, and you learn how to get an audience, all the little tricks of the trade.
Right.
I'll go out now in front of an audience, and at some point in the first 5 minutes, I'll have the audience laughing. Right. If you can get them laughing, they're your friends. It's that simple. You should have to learn all that. And for, like you say, some young kid to come along and think he's so great because he just signed a contract, No, mate, it's a long way to go.
If today's episode lit a fire in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Sold for a Song, leave a review, and be the spark that helps others discover their own worth. And if you're ready to go deeper, my upcoming book, The Sold for a Song Academy, and one-on-one mentoring are all waiting for you inside my private portal. Visit TerranceSawchuk.com. Let's build this movement together.